here doing the Stuck at Home TV. Alicia is not with me tonight, and we're all the poorer for it. Check this out. So I'm admittedly a little weirdly lit. I've been playing with these lights. I have these hue lights that go behind my monitor. Check this out right here. Look at this. You can change the color. Whoa! And it can be like any color. So I can go to like purple. We can go green. They can get really bright. Or not. I was going for, I was hoping for a yellowish tone so as to maybe not seem quite so pale. But then again, I have a red shirt on, so now I'm like kind of orange. We go kind of white. It's weird. This is weird, right? And if you wish that your lights did this and you had an app on your phone, all I can tell you is that at Christmas time, I paid entirely too much for these lights. But there was a, what do you call it? Like a mail-in rebate or something like that. No, it wasn't mail-in. It was an instant No, that's not what it was. It was, I'll get this. It was like you got a gift card when you bought them. So they became like quasi-affordable, and then I bought more junk with the gift card. So yeah, I really showed them. Like I got them for real. Sorry, I'm bumping my camera. So if you can see behind me, there's like trash back there. It's not really trash, it's boxes. This week I've been building another computer for the church, which is awesome. So we're constantly working on the streaming stuff, trying to make it look a little bit better and brighter and all those kinds of things. And that's become seemingly my entire life now, aside from the riot. But it's not a bad thing. It's been a huge challenge. I spent a lot of time on YouTube watching people framed somewhat like this, talking to me about sound and compression and stuff. And so I've learned a lot. It's been cool. And so thank you, Impact City, for giving me the opportunity to serve you in that way and to learn on the job like that. It's been exciting, and it has been a genuine challenge. So Mindy was like, hey, does anybody feel like preaching tonight? And kind of jokingly, for Stuck at Home TV. And I don't know that I would say that I feel like preaching, but I will tell you, God has been talking to me, or certainly did last week, about something that was really bugging me. And I shared it actually with our production team right before we started on church last week, and I'm going to share it with you guys now. But one of the things that I really struggle with, I feel like just in life, is the concept of fitting in. I didn't feel like so often in life, I felt like I just don't fit in wherever I am. And I can remember as a kid, I wasn't athletic. I was pretty overweight. I never played a sport. And, so especially like in junior high, kids start to get rough, right? I mean, like I can still remember in preschool, this kid calling me fatso for the first time. But when you really start to feel it is when you start to get old enough and realize that like, oh, because you're fat, they don't like you for this, or they don't like you for that, or girls don't like you, or people make fun of you, or whatever. And, it was rough. And so I remember in high school basically just deciding I had changed schools, and I spent a year, just as me, I guess, with a very bad mustache my freshman year of high school. That's a true story. But I just decided, like, you know what? I'm going to play a sport. Like, I'm just going to figure it out. We were a small school. Our teams were no good at everything. And so I just figured, hey, I'm going to go out and play something. And so I spent an entire summer in my backyard. I decided I would play soccer. And I was not a soccer player up to this point. And I would spend, anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4 hours a day, most days out of a week, just with a book and a video that I had gotten teaching myself how to play soccer because I wanted to go out and play soccer. And, it's funny. It's this weird thing where that was not a bad thing, right? Like that was a good thing. It was good that for me to get in shape. It was good for me to challenge myself with a sport. It had a lot of great benefits for me. I did feel better. And it was just one of those things where like, it wasn't all bad. Right. But the other side of it is that not at the complete heart of it, but part of it was really me wanting to just fit in, like wanting to be liked, wanting to be more than I was. And again, not all of that's bad, but it didn't always come from the healthiest place. And I can remember almost studying it academically. Like, how do you become the kind of person that is well-liked or well this or whatever? And I can remember going on a date my senior year of high school, and I was excited to be out with this girl that I had met, and she asked me a question, and I won't get into it, but I gave her the answer, and she was like, oh, so you're one of the smart kids then, right? And I remembered thinking like, oh crap. Okay. So I've got to maintain a certain weight and don't act like you're too smart, because people aren't going to like you if you're smart. So you got to be careful with that. And then I started to realize like I like a lot of like really nerdy stuff. Right. And so it was like, okay, people don't want to hear about this like nerdy stuff that you're into. So I learned to not talk about that. So it's like, okay, you got to weigh a certain thing. You got to dress a certain way. You can't act like you're really smart because people are put off by that. You can't like these certain things. And I mean, after a while, like you are really starting to hack away at the person that you are in order to fit in. And again, it's funny. Like it was almost an academic exercise for me. Like, okay, I'm just going to figure this out. I'm going to take a look at the quote unquote successful people, what they do, and I'm just going to emulate what they're doing. And yeah, I promise there's a point to this, right? And so I just kind of began to do whatever it took to fit in. But, you know, it's funny, you reach a certain point in life where there's not really anywhere to fit in, like to a certain extent, right? I mean, you graduate high school, you graduate college, and then you're just in the workforce and you're just like looking for a place, you're just living. And so I'm married, and it's just that you would think that at some point the desire to fit in would leave, but it doesn't. It turns into this desire to be liked. And I was really like, sometimes this feeds into, you guys know I've talked about mental health issues and depression. And so it kind of feeds in sometimes to the idea of just wanting to feel like normal, to feel like everybody else. And I just a lot of times don't feel that way. And I'm bringing all this around for a point, I swear. But, you know, I went to something that was a Christian thing, right? And I remember thinking like, man, I don't fit in here. Like, I don't fit in with all these other Jesus people. Like, I know that I belong. Like, I know that we all believe in Jesus, and so I'm supposed to belong. But like, I just don't feel like I fit with these people at all. And there was even a time in my life when I was a part of a ministry where, you know, these people were describing experiences that they were having with God. And they literally had the idea of like, hey, if your experience is not matching up to exactly this, and I'm not talking about, it wasn't enough that we both believed in Jesus and that, you know, we shared these common beliefs in relationship with God. It was like, hey, if you do not have X, Y, and Z, and it does not look this, this, and this, then you're not doing it right, and you may not actually have this relationship with God. And I can remember thinking like, well, I'm not gonna fake anything. I'm gonna be legit. I'm gonna be true to God as I know Him. And God talked to me in that time. And you know what? He talked to me just the other day as I was standing around, and I was just like, man, here we are again. I still don't fit in. Like, I am still not. I'm surrounded by God's people, but man, I just don't fit here at all. What is the deal, God? What's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Et cetera, et cetera. You see where this is going, right? I mean, just talk about like really trash talking yourself, but at the same time, like, why am I not like so-and-so? And it's always a really good idea, no matter how you're feeling or what it is that you're chewing with, is to take that to God. And it really feeds into what Mindy is talking about with her series on Wonderful Counselor. And of course, that'll be Justin this week, not Mindy, but I just kind of sat down and I was frustrated, and I just said, God, I am so sick of not feeling like I belong anywhere or not feeling like I fit in anywhere. And, you know, I just talked to him about it, and I'm telling you, like, that fast, like God was right there, and he just said, listen. And I mean, I'll get this as close to what I felt like he was sharing with me as I can, but he said, you know, do you want to fit in or do you want to blend in? Because you're talking about different things. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Jesus, you just blew my mind. What did you just say? And the Holy Spirit talked to me about a puzzle. And the idea of, you know, when you put together a puzzle, all of the pieces might fit, but they don't necessarily blend. They don't disappear. And metaphors don't always work, right? But he was showing me the idea that if you set all these puzzle pieces out, like there might be certain things about them that are similar, but they're different, and they have to be different. And they have to be different in order to complement each other, and they have to be different in order to actually fit in. You don't want puzzle pieces that like blend, as in they look all the same. You want puzzle pieces that fit. They're different, and so they're able to fit in together. And it really goes back into what we see in the Bible, where we're talking about the church as a body. You know, you've got the hand, you've got a nose, you've got different parts of the body, but they're all the same. They're all part of the body. And it just hit me hard, because I think that a lot of us feel that way. Like the ways that I've described and all the different circumstances that I could pull out of, you know, whatever terrible life I've lived, you know, we've all kind of felt that feeling of like, man, I just don't feel like I belong. I don't feel like I fit in. And I just felt so good about what God said to me, that even though you may feel like, quote unquote, you don't fit in, like you do. You know, at Impact City and in the church in general, I just mean with Jesus's people, we're not all going to look the same. We're not all going to sound the same. And we're not even always going to have the exact same experience. But if we can come together in love, we need each other. You know, the nerdy people like myself, you can just be yourself. And I don't know, whatever the other people are, whoever they are, like they can be themselves. You know, it doesn't have to be a thing where we all have to be alike. We can all be the people that God made us to be. And as we come together with Jesus at the front and as the head and doing things his way, we don't have to turn into robots where we're all exactly the same, but instead we actually get to celebrate being different because of who God is and how he made us. I don't know if all this is making sense, but I got to tell you, before I started saying it out loud, it sounded profound to me anyway. So that's what's been on my heart and mind, is the idea that God made each and every one of us different. He made me different, and I don't have to pretend to be somebody or something that I'm not. I can just be me, and God can use me to do whatever it is that he needs done, or just to be his kid and for he and I to have fun living and loving and whatevering together, right? Right. So that's kind of all I got. A heads up that, let's see, what are we doing this Sunday at church? If you guys haven't heard, I've actually spent the entire afternoon right here in this chair, like 3.5 hours or I don't know. I've been here for a long time. I've been working on a graduation video that's going to be a part of Graduation Sunday. So if you see it this Sunday and you think it's really good, yes. If you see it this Sunday and you wish it was over, I did my best, right? So I've been working on that. You get a chance to see that. I know we've got a special thing for that. Thursday night this week, if you are a graduate, there is a kind of an open house. It's like a drive-by. You can stop in and see Pastor Justin and Mindy from 6 until 8 p.m., I believe that is. That's for graduating seniors only. And you know what, guys? I think that's about it. Yeah. I mean, I know there's other stuff going on. We're getting ready to fire up these new grow groups. There was a video from Justin, if you haven't seen it yet, about how we're going to be moving forward, reopening the church and what our plans are and how you can be a part of our Wednesday night tapings and, stuff like that. Yeah. I think that's about it. So look, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I hope it's been a good Monday. And I hope that next week you can look forward to Memorial Day being a day off. I want a day off, and I'm taking a day. Yeah, I am. Man, just as another side note, I tried to get a campsite this weekend. It was the dumbest thing I've ever tried in my life.